All right, so what I'm not going to do is just do what everybody else is doing on the internet and just consistently report on this emotional roller coaster that everybody is pushing people through, especially with finances. Right now, the world is basically atlas of human suffering, worse, bigger. The world is basically Russian ruble. Financial markets are hammered by sanctions. And Russia invades Ukraine. Now, if you woke up every morning and looked at this, every morning, I can tell why your work life probably sucks. They are messing with your emotions. Whether it's true or not, nobody really knows the answer. Nobody really knows the answer. The aggressor or Putin is the only one that really knows what's going to happen next, right? Or maybe he doesn't even know because he doesn't even know what America is going to do to him. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this is a big drama show, and I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm not going to do that. We are going to focus on what matters most. I'm going to be showing you guys how I research, okay, to an extreme level, how I've been able to make millions of dollars before the age of 25 years old, how I've created a whole entire education platform on my research principles, and how basically I created the greatest fundamental analysis in cryptocurrency on planet Earth. And I do believe this. We have the greatest results, the most results, and nobody has created a system that's used by hedge funds like what we do here. Right? So again, I want to focus on what matters most because the news now, it's a big like gambling casino. If you want to go to the casino, well, I highly recommend you go on over to somewhere different than crypto because this is like you should probably go to Vegas. Like go to Vegas because at least the odds are clear. Okay? At least you can get like a 30% odd in Vegas, but you can't get that with trying to predict where the market's going to go with, what's going on with the war. So just to be clear, I'm just going to isolate myself and I'm going to focus on what really matters and what's going to really grow you in the long term. And I told you guys in my videos, I was going to get deep. We're getting real deep. So I'm focusing on the foundations, the fundamentals, right? What got me to where I'm at today. And I'm going to lay out the whole entire strategy and exactly how I research, okay? And everything I'm doing there. So if you appreciate the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, share this with a friend that is frantic. It's going crazy right now. It's all over the place because this could really help. So I isolated, okay, the principles that got to me to where I'm at. So I'm going to show you my research and exactly how it works. But first, like we have to understand where we're currently at, right? So right now, everybody's panicking and freaking out and emotions are everywhere. So it's essentially similar to getting lost, right? You're lost and you don't have a clear direction of where to go, right? So I want to explain just a little story because this story, once somebody told me this, actually, I don't even remember where I got it. I think it was a digital course. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a digital course. I got this story and it stuck with me for the rest of my life, okay? This is how the story goes, right? There's a plane full of engineers. All right, there's a whole bunch of engineers on this plane. Okay, I want you to imagine, they're drinking wine on the plane and they're all super smart, right? They're super smart, and they're talking about engineering things and they're, doing math. You get the point. But the actual plane, starts to have issues, right? And it's not necessarily a crash landing, but they have to land in a jungle. Because for whatever reason, the plane had to land in this jungle. And now their next task is basically they have to find the nearest town so they don't starve and die, right? They have to find the nearest town as quickly as possible so they don't starve and die. Remember, this plane is filled with engineers. So these guys are extremely smart, right? They're extremely smart. So they get their machetes, right? Or they create machetes. They create these tools that will cut the trees in the perfect way, right? And then they start talking about what's the greatest angle to hit the tree at. It's going to precisely be able to clear this forest so we can make, we can walk faster and get through the forest as fast as possible, right? And they start calculating all these things and they get very hyper-focused, right, onto the specifics of cutting through trees and, getting to a destination, right? So they lay out their plan and these engineers start going through the forest. They start going through the forest and they're cutting the trees and they're moving in a direction. And then one person just takes a deep breath. They see a really tall tree. They climb up the tall tree. They go to the top and they tell the engineers, this person tells the engineers, hey, we're going the wrong way. The town is exactly the opposite direction, right? So what point I'm trying to make? Well, there's all this stuff and we can dive into specifics and strategy all day and I can tell you guys exactly what I do and it's crazy. But if you don't have a clear direction, right? And that's the direction I'm trying to give you guys. I'm not trying to clickbait these videos into your emotional distress. That's not what I want to do. I want to give you clear direction of what's going on right now. I want to take a step back and actually I have, again, a simplified formula that's been in front of your face recently right here that will, really explain this, right? So working harder is the variable that works for everything. More stimulation really works, but it's kind of like a combination of working harder and smarter. And this is like working smarter right here. So working harder is like the fuel. And this is like working smarter, okay? And this gives you like exponential. This is where you can like multiply the fuel. This is where you make like a free energy generator, right? Like you can use fuel, it's fine, but this is like archaic, right? Gas is archaic. Let's make a free energy generator. And this is that right there. This is working smarter. So how do I find myself when I get lost? And this works with diets. This works with finance. This works with your personal life. This works for love in your life. It doesn't really matter. This really works, okay? Very simple. And that's the beauty of things like this, is if you can find very, very simple ways, that works in multiple industries, it's right. It's like a first principle, okay? So what do? Well, the first thing is I simplify, which is exactly what I'm saying. So let's say hypothetically you have a strategy, you have 26 different altcoins, right? You're using 19 different indicators by 26 different YouTubers, and all of these guys are telling you to do different things. Well, no wonder you're losing money. You don't understand what's going on. There's too many variables for your brain. Your brain cannot process that, right? So every time I get lost, I take a deep breath and I simplify. And usually I put it into 3 steps. Three is a great number. Human psychology and threes, I'm telling you right now, humans work in threes. So get it down to 3 simple steps, like similar to what we see here. And I'll show you that my research process that we're going to dive into is basically 3 simple steps. We just have different steps within the steps, but it's basically 3 big steps, right? So simplify. Whatever it is, your trading strategy, if you're looking at 19 different indicators, then simplify it. And the funny part is that most of you don't even know. Most of you you don't even know why you make investment decisions. That's what pisses me off the most, is that you don't even have a list of the reasons why you make investment decisions. So that's kind of like tracking results here. That's like tracking results. But we'll dive into that. But yeah, first, write a list of all the reasons why you make an investment decision. And if you fall into this category, it's okay. It's okay. I'm really trying to explain to you guys the difference between a professional and an amateur in investing. And once you get down to the nitty and gritty, you're going to realize a lot of you are just scapegoating. You're flying by the seat of your pants and you're listening to someone make investment decisions on YouTube. That doesn't work. I've told you this a million times. You will lose money if somebody else is making investment decisions for you. So simplify. First, write up a list of what you're investing in and how you're going to be investing and the reasons why and the foundational reasons. And then bring that list down to like at least 5, maybe 5 to 10. Bring that list down. Whatever it is, cut off like half of it because half of it is not serving you. And really hyper focus on what's getting you results. So you have to kind of track. And if you don't have a track record, well, this is your opportunity to make a track record for yourself. So you kind of have to track, what of those, decisions are getting you the most result, right? What are those things that get you the most results? So like, for example, I like to break this down into health. Even though I'm not the healthiest person on earth and I'm not claiming to be a fitness expert, I think it's a beautiful place to go into because everybody has tried to once be healthy. So you can really make it easy. And I also think that the fitness industry is like really oversaturated and they do all these things to try to trick you. But like, if you bring it down to like the first principles, it's very simple. Like, how do you get healthy, right? Number 1, you recover better. Number 2, you work out better. Okay. And number 3, it's probably diet, and maybe recovery is part of diet. So you can really boil it down to 2. It's recovery and then working out. But I'm willing to say that diet's probably a big element. Diet's not just specifically working out. Diet's for other elements, right? So this is simple, right? Diet, right? Workout, Okay, recovery. Now, what happens is people go, "Oh, I'm gonna get this fat loss pill, and I'm gonna do this thing that's gonna teach me how to lose 10 pounds in 3 hours, and I'm gonna do all this crazy madness stuff." But if you just boiled it down to simply those three things, I'm willing to bet that if you track your results, there's one area that's doing really bad. And for me, like when I track my diet, or my that's funny how I said diet, but when I track, my health, it's usually diet. It's usually diet because I love food, man. I don't know about you guys, but I love food. Okay. But, if I focused on that one area though, I would get massive results and probably lose the most weight rather than working out harder. It's not about working out harder sometimes. Sometimes it's about just doing the right things, right? So bringing it to your investments, you have to identify what gives you the most results and then hyper focus on that thing that gets you the most results. So simplifying entails taking things away, right? And not doing the crazy madness that you've been doing, okay? Take things away and then hyper focus on what really, really gets you results and then track it. And then identify what got you the most results and then simplify what got you the most results and then hyper focus on what got you the most results, right? So essentially when you get lost, this again works in timeless principles, and the work harder variable is just a thing. It's like fuel, right? And this is the amplification of that fuel. So I did want to share that piece with you because again, like you could use this with every part of your life, like literally every part of your life it will work. Excuse me, I had to burp. So let's go into how I research. And again, me doing this today, I realized that you guys are lost. I literally realized that, and it's me too. Like I'm lost. A lot of you are lost. And then I was like, all right, so how do I simplify this, right? And I was like, oh, you guys just don't know how to research. Maybe you just don't understand how I dive deep and I research. Instead of just giving you my research every day, let me teach you how I research so that you could become self-sustainable and research yourself. That, in my personal opinion, is the most meaningful answer right now for you. Which brings me to the topic of discussion today. And this will be the reason why you like the video. Please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend. So if we jump into here, I'm going to show you how I research. This first starts off with finding the truth, okay? And the truth is hard to find in some cases, but usually if you find the original source, it gives you the truth. If you avoid cognitive biases, and if you don't know what cognitive biases are, like you need to do some research, you're a little bit lost. I've talked about it in a couple of other videos, and you can go look at it. And then make it simple, kind of similar to what we were seeing over here, right? So you can see how all of this is relevant. We'll get to this after, but you're not going to understand this until we go through this, okay? So let me go through it. So first thing I do is I wake up and I consume information. And I usually it's organized, by credibility. So whatever, when it comes to news, like whatever has the most consistent track record of being correct, I leave it and I organize it at the top of my browser. So you guys should see that actually. Let me just not talk about it and show you. So you can see I have news, data, macro, DeFi, NFT, L1 or layer ones. And then this is just for work, right? So you should have like a very simple, very, very simple, elegant, bookmark bar there. And that'll make your life easy. Cause what you could do too, is you could just simply right click and open all. And then you don't even have to like click on news articles, right? So I could just like literally like mindlessly, just boom. Mindless. And then all of the pieces of news that I find credible or I find, that gave me the most results is just right there. Right. So, again, I could give you that, right? I can give you that, but that's not the framework. I'm teaching you guys how to fish, basically, is what I'm trying to do here, guys. All right. So again, I consume information. News is obviously, we need to know what's going on in the world, right? But you have to be able to filter the news, which I'll explain, okay? Then we look at price, which this is the most, I guess you can say, price is the most, it's like the end point of life, right? Or not life, but it's the end point of what people are thinking, right? Price is the most it's like the last element. It's what comes out of the box. The price tells us what the actual action is. It's like our action element. So, what do I mean by price? I mean, like you look at Bitcoin's price, you look at, for example, oil's price, you look at indexes price, and I have different indexes that I use and I share them with the channel. But again, I'm teaching you guys how to fish. And then this recent data source is looking at on-chain. On-chain is like a new category of data source that shows people's, I guess you could say, behaviors in crypto. And then I look at like search history and sentiment and like I'm looking at like SEO, and basically this helps you dictate like the market psychology, and where people are looking and what people are searching, right? Search history. So these are typically like the main categories, to be honest. I can't really think of anything else. So I'm giving you guys kind of like the principles, right? I'm looking at the main categories. I can't think of anything else, right? And I consume this information every morning. Then I craft a theory of where I think the market's going to go. That's basically usually what happens. I craft a theory in my head. I take some notes. I'm like, all right, I think this, and it's usually 3, right? So if you keep it in 3, it's super simple, right? And just to be clear, this is a 3-step process, but notice there's 3 theories involved. So really, like, this is actually supposed to be 3, and it is simple, but I'm just trying to explain a point here. So I go up with theory 1, right? I craft this like, oh, all right, so Russia's doing this, so I think Bitcoin's going to go up because of this, right? That's like a theory, right? And you could say it's a hypothesis. If you look at what I'm doing here, this is basically a scientific method, right? If you boil it down to what it really is, right? And the scientific method is consistent throughout time. It's even in the Bible. So again, these principles you will be able to use forever. All right. So I craft a theory, right? And then I find evidence to back up my theory. And I try to do this unbiasedly. Remember, you must find the original sources of everything, avoid cognitive biases, and make it simple. And there's a lot of cognitive biases that basically dictate that you try to back up your theory. Like, it's not just backing it up with evidence. It's more of like trying to debunk it. So it's like backing up with evidence and debunking it. Backing up with evidence and debunking it. And so basically the point is that you're boiling your theory down to truth. And really the 2 areas of where this usually happens is I'm looking at data, which was what? On-chain, search history, price, right? And then I'm looking at credibility, people with credibility, which is like news, right? Looking for credible sources, right? And it's usually just those 2. And if you think about it, this is like quantitative, this is like numbers, and then this is like qualitative. This is like things that you really can't put a number on. Like, for example, if I see all the billionaires on planet Earth jumping into crypto, similar to my last video where we talked about this, then it's an element of, I can't really put a number on it, but like the credibility is outstanding. Like the qualitative element of all of the billionaires jumping into crypto gives me a clear indicator that, yeah, you probably should jump into crypto. You get what I'm saying? So it's, again, numbers. The number would be like something like, on-chain metrics says that Bitcoin's going to go up because of this. That's like data. And then it's like credibility and being able to really look into credibility pretty deep. And we talk about this in FS. In the Fundamental Secrets, we actually have specific ways to identify credibility. And we tell you guys the data sources that we use, basically, right? And then eventually, this turns into a new theory. And hopefully, you started with the truth, right? So hopefully, this new theory is going towards the truth. So sometimes I'll make a theory, and all of this evidence just like completely, it's not true. My theory was completely false. And then, sometimes the second theory is like the exact opposite of the first theory, which is funny. But you just rinse and repeat. That's all you do. You refine it, right? You refine your thoughts, right? So theory 1, you find evidence. You jump into theory 2, you find evidence. You jump into theory 3, you find evidence. And then eventually you come up with a crystallized theory, right? You come up with this, hey, I think Bitcoin's going to dump today because this, and this. And because of this, and this, right? And you write it down, all right? And then you ask yourself these questions. What does this mean for your investment? So does it mean if you think Bitcoin's going to go down in the next like couple weeks or whatever, then are you holding Bitcoin? Are you longing Bitcoin, right? What does this mean? What action do you take for your investment to mirror this? So if you think Bitcoin is going to go down, right? Are you longing Bitcoin? What action do you need to take? Do you need to go to the exchange and like take out your long position, or do you need to like, sell Bitcoin? Like what is this action, right? And then how do you track the result of your theory? So this is like how much money you made, right? And then having like a Excel spreadsheet or a history. I don't have an Excel spreadsheet. I typically just look at on-chain, and I, the times where, I feel like I either made the most or lost the most, I'll go back and I'll look at like my trades. And this will like force me to say, okay, what was I thinking at the time? And was I wrong or correct, right? So the beauty of what I do is I trade in Web3. So every single like track the result is out there. And I give like my public address to everybody in my group. So technically people in FS can literally just go through my history and see why I made my decisions and if they were wrong or correct, right? So do that for yourself. I think that's an actionable thing we could do in this video. Hey guys, let's do something hard, but hard actually gets you results, right? Like doesn't like the things that are hard like typically forces you in you know the right way. So hey guys, why don't you go through the history of all your trades? I'm willing to bet that 50% of you or more, probably more, the majority of you, because the majority of people lose money. That's just the truth. In trading, the majority usually lose money. So I'm willing to bet the majority of you, 70% plus, do not know how much money you really made or lost. So why don't you go back into your exchange, right? So you can go into the exchange, right? Go into the software and go look at all your trades. Also, write down what you were thinking when you made that trade. That might be the most revolutionary thing you have ever done for your trading experience in your life. I guarantee it. Because again, when you're lost, you don't even know what worked or what didn't, right? You don't even know what thought process you guys put into play that worked. So how you expect that your current thought process is going to work again? You don't. It's random. It's all over the place, right? So again, simplify, hyper focus, track the result. And right now we're going to be focusing on tracking results because a lot of you do not track. So go back into your exchange, go look at all the lost trades and all the win trades, right? And you could do this with DBank. DBank is the Web3 version. So if you go to DBank, okay, DBank will show you your history of transactions and track the result. What did you do? And write down a couple of notes of what you're thinking and the reasons that you made these decisions when you sold or bought, right? What are those reasons, right? And then put it on a piece of paper so you can look at it, right? And then find, okay, what gave you the most results when you had winning trades. What gave you the most results? And then only do that. Only do that, right? And hyper focus on it. So let's say hypothetically, you made this really good trade because you found out the developers were moving to this coin, right? So, okay, so you found a developer. So developers gave you the end result of a profitable trade, right? You found that developers going to this coin gave you the end result of a proper trade. So what do you do? All right, let's go figure out how the metrics work to track developers. How do those metrics work? Like let's dissect it, right? How do you track developers? Well, you track them by the GitHub, right? You look into their GitHub, how many commits they're making. How else do you track it? Maybe we could look at like their Discord. Maybe we could dive into the project's Discord and see if I can, is the developers active there? What are they doing, right? How else do you track developers? Oh, why don't you just personally message the developer and figure out what they're doing? And you see how these things can lead to exponential results. You must amplify your efforts. You only have so much work in a day. So you have to amplify what gets you the most results. So bringing it back to here, okay, you must take action, right? Take action on your theory, right? And have your investments mirror your crystallized theory. And there you go, guys. This is how you win in cryptocurrency. And this is how you have something that's consistent and how you make your own decisions and stop following blindly people on the internet and eventually becoming the minority. The minority of people make money. This is true. And if you want to become the minority, this is the answer. Now, I also want to just really briefly touch on this. Now, when you're doing these research, there's kind of like latency, right? There's like, oh, when I'm researching an article, I got to read the whole article, right? That takes time to read. It also takes time to like click. It also takes time to write things down, right? So how do we get better at this system here? Well, you learn the tools and the platforms way better. If you want to get like an amplified effect on this whole thing and like all of it becomes smoother, well, I don't know, maybe learn a shortcut on your keyboard, right? Maybe, I don't know, learn Coinbase better and understand all of the features of Coinbase, right? Use the tools, right? Understand the data more, right? Dive deeper in the data to understand what this really means. Like maybe dissect an order book, right? Go look into if I'm making trades on Coinbase, maybe I should understand how the order book works, right? Things like this make you a professional, guys, if you did not understand that. I'm trying to force my audience into professionalism. This is what we're doing here. I'm trying to force my audience into professionalism. And this is the train of thought that you have to consistently adopt, right? And then understanding credibility, right? Understanding the variables of credibility and how they work together. But yeah, in all, I think I'm beating a dead horse at this point. This is how I research. This is how I've been able to make millions of dollars, okay? And refining this really gets me results. It gets me results in my business. It gets me results in trading. It gets me results in my health. Pretty much every single time I use these two, I win. So yeah, this video is definitely something that you should watch again, guys. Very dense information, elegant information. And that's the beauty of this, is that it's timeless principles. You guys will be able to watch this video maybe a year from now, and it will probably still be relevant in your life. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism, subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Thanks for watching this, guys. Catch you in the next one.